In the quaint village of Willows End, where the fog hangs low and the nights whisper secrets, there was an old mansion that stood ominously at the end of a long, affluent neighborhood. The locals called it the Whispering House, not just for the sounds that emanated from its dilapidated walls, but for the stories that seemed to seep out of its very foundation. The mansion had been abandoned for decades, ever since the night the last heir of the Willow family vanished without a trace. Some say he was consumed by the house itself, taken by the spirits that his ancestors had wronged. Others whispered of a darker fate, one that involved forbidden rituals, and the summoning of that could not be controlled. As the years passed, the tales grew more elaborate and the fear more palpable. No one dared approach the mansion, save for the occasional thrill-seeker or daredevil, none of whom returned quite the same. They spoke of cold spots, of hands that brushed against their backs when no one was there, and of voices that called out to them from the darkness. It was on a night much like any other, with the moon hidden behind thick clouds, that a figure approached the Whispering House. Clad in a heavy cloak, the stranger was neither deterred by the chilling wind nor the reputation that preceded the mansion. With a purposeful stride, they crossed the threshold, the ancient door creaking open as if welcoming them home. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the scent of decay. The stranger's footsteps echoed through the halls, stirring the silence that had long reigned. As they delved deeper into the heart of the mansion, the temperature dropped, their breath visible in the air. And then they heard it, the faintest whisper, like the rustling of leaves. It grew louder, more insistent, until words began to form, words that spoke of hidden truths and buried secrets. The stranger listened, their eyes growing wide with realization, for they had come to the Whispering House not in search of ghosts, but in search of answers, and the house, it seemed, was eager to oblige. As the whispers grew into voices, the stranger felt a chill that seemed to seep into their very bones. The mansion was alive with the echoes of its past, and each room told a different tale of sorrow and darkness. The air was heavy with the weight of untold stories, and the walls themselves seemed to be watching, waiting. The stranger moved from room to room, guided by an unseen force. In the grand ballroom, the chandeliers swayed gently, as if stirred by the remnants of music long since faded. The grand piano, its keys yellowed with age, played a single note that hung in the air, a note that seemed to beckon further into the depths of the house. In the library, books lay scattered, their pages turned by what could only be invisible hands. The stranger's eyes were drawn to a leather-bound tome that lay open on the floor. The words on the page shimmered and shifted, revealing a story that mirrored the stranger's own, a tale of loss and a quest for redemption. Up the creaking staircase, the portraits of the Willow family stared down, their eyes following the stranger's every move. The air grew colder still as they reached the top floor, where the master bedroom lay. The door was ajar, and as the stranger pushed it open, they were met with a sight that stole the breath from their lungs. The room was untouched by time, preserved as if its occupant had merely stepped out for a moment. On the vanity, a brush lays next to a faded photograph of a woman whose beauty was timeless. The stranger knew her face, though they had never met her in life. She was the key to the mystery that had brought them here. As the clock struck midnight, the house seemed to hold its breath. The stranger felt a presence behind them, and they turned to see the woman from the photograph. She was ethereal, a ghostly vision in the moonlight that streamed through the broken window. "Do not be afraid," she whispered, her voice a melody that calmed the storm within the stranger's heart. "You have come seeking answers, and it is time for the truth to be revealed." The ghost of the woman began to recount the history of the Willow family, of deals made in desperation and the price that was paid. She spoke of the stranger's lineage, of a bloodline thought lost, but merely hidden. The stranger was the last of the Willows, the heir to a legacy of both light and shadow. Together they uncovered the secrets that the house had guarded for so long. The stranger learned of the power that coursed through their veins, a power that could either heal or destroy. And as dawn approached, the ghost faded, her final words a blessing and a warning. The stranger left the Whispering House as the sun rose, the horizon alight with the promise of a new day. They carried with them the knowledge of the past and the hope for the future. The house, once a place of fear, now stood as a beacon of understanding, its whispers quieted by the truth. And though the villagers never knew what transpired that night, they noticed a change in the air. The fog lifted, the nights grew silent, and the whispering house was no more. In its place stood the Willow Mansion, a home once again filled with life and laughter, as if the spirits themselves had found peace at last.